I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there was a phrase that I was taught, and it was to remind us of how to show hospitality to visitors. And that saying was, you never know, we might be entertaining angels. Yeah, well, and that idea actually comes from this scene in Genesis, where Abraham and Sarah are out in the wilderness. They're out being vulnerable. They don't know where they're going exactly. They know where they came from. They know that their life is no longer there. But they know that and they trust that God is leading them to something better, of this beautiful promise of a future with many, many children. So many children that they are just as many as the stars in the heavens. They know that God has a plan for them. However, they're out there in the wilderness, and they're not really sure what's going on. Imagine yourself in Abraham and Sarah's position. You're out there, you know God's leading you, but at the same time, you don't know anybody around you. You don't have a whole bunch of people. You don't have an army to protect you. Anybody can come and just raid your camp. Anybody could come and just take everything that you have. And then all of a sudden, everything that you dreamt of, and possibly your faith in God, just goes. So, this scene where we have these three people come, and the tradition is that these are three angels. An angel in Hebrew means a messenger of God. These three messengers of God come, and Abraham greets them, welcomes them, embraces them, brings them into the camp, into his home, into his life with his wife, into this very vulnerable space. And he doesn't know who they are. Did you catch their names? He doesn't know what their names are either. But he's not there yet. He is worried first. He's got to show hospitality. He has to bring them in, wash their feet, make sure that they have food, feed them, get them out of the sun, provide for them, care for them. And then that's when he starts having a conversation. He is just with them, being with them, listening to them, talking with them. And in the midst of showing that vulnerability, that hospitality, of giving the best of the best to him, or to these visitors, these angels, these messengers of God, he and his wife, Sarah, receive a blessing. A blessing, a promise. A promise so wild and crazy that Sarah laughs. Because she feels it's impossible that there's any opportunity, any chance that she might actually have a child. Any opportunity, possibility that God's promise will actually come true. But these three messengers underscore it and continue to affirm what God has already promised with Abraham and Sarah. That God is with them. That God is providing for them. That in the midst of the wildness, in the midst of not knowing what the future is going to be, not knowing exactly where this group of people are going, God will provide and bless. Now, this concept of hospitality we see again in the gospel reading. Once again, it is a firmly embedded practice of showing hospitality, of opening your home to people and to provide for them. Give them everything you have out of your refrigerator, including that thing that you were like saving in the back that the kids don't know that you have like Girl Scout cookies back in the cabinet. You get those out. You give them the best of the best, and you show them. You treat them as if they are royalty, even if they are not. Hospitality That's hospitality. And that's kind of what we think about when we talk about hospitality. Caring for the stranger in our midst, to bring them in to the fold, to embrace them and care for them, to give them everything that they need to be in that moment, to build that relationship. And that's also just kind of the practice that we have out of the Old Testament as well as the New Testament, this constant reinforcement that we are called to embrace the stranger, to welcome them, to bring them in, to care for them. In fact, this concept of caring is even in the mission statement, the new mission statement for Southminster. If you find it somewhere in your bulletin, it might be in the back page. It says in there that we care for all. We care for all. And when the visioning team was working on this, they really meant it. They meant that hospitality is supposed to be a wild and crazy and radical hospitality, just like Abraham and Sarah showed, and just like Jesus teaches, and just like what Mary and Martha did when they welcomed not only Jesus, but all of his followers into their household. And caring for somebody means that you care for their whole life, their every aspect, their physical, their mental, and their spiritual. Caring for all, caring for the wholeness of people, and caring for the relationships around that. That's the key part right there. Caring for the relationships around people. And that's the rub that we find between Martha and Mary, is it not? Have you ever hosted a party at your house? Even your own family or something like that on a holiday? What's that like? I don't know about you, but whenever I have family gatherings and stuff like that, there's always a set of people that are very busy in the kitchen, making sure that everything is prepared. Growing up, I remember going over to my grandmother's house and if you were a boy, do not try to enter the kitchen. There's no help you can do. Go find something else to do. Go watch Dukes of Hazzard, whatever. And in fact, there were only a few of the women in the family that were actually allowed in there. That's how tightly controlled that area was. But the part that always got lost was actually having time for grandma and those aunts and everybody to be actually out with the family. Because, where do I come from? Yeah, I come from the Ozarks, kind of that Mid-South area, and the women are always there serving, and they're back in the kitchen. And in fact, they barely ever eat. They eat after everybody else eats, because they're constantly serving. You're done with your first plate, grandma's back there with another plate. Try some more sweet potato pie. Try some more chicken. You gotta have more pie. There's pecan pie. You had apple pie, and now you need to try the peach pie. No more, grandma, but you look so skinny. And then there's the cleanup, and the cleanup. In many ways, is that also not how sometimes we run our lives? That when we are trying to care for all, and care for all the people around us, we get so busy and so into the minutiae of things, perhaps we feel that we might be the only people that can do this and not ask for help. That in caring so much for everybody, we forget about caring for ourselves. Caring for that relationship with even our own selves, and our own health, and our own well-being, our own mental, physical, and spiritual. And if we get too busy thinking about all the things that we need to do or have to do, and caring for all, and caring for this and that because nobody else can do it, like I can do it because my way is the correct way, don't you know? Then don't we set ourselves up to actually be the complete opposite of what we're trying to be? When we're trying to be hospitable, we end up being inhospitable. Like Martha, coming out of the kitchen, dripping with sweat, face red with anger at her sister, and telling Jesus, the guest of honor, the highest, the person of the person of the persons that are there, that she has under her, telling him, watch that, telling him to tell her sister to help her. I don't know about you, but I think that's really rude. That is the complete opposite of what Martha is trying to do. Caring for everyone, caring for our guests, the people in our lives, showing them hospitality, showing them care for their health and mental and spiritual, and also means that we got to also care for ourselves, our own health, our own mental, our own spiritual needs. And we have to remember that, like Jesus told Martha, stop. Just stop. Take a breather. And why don't you just sit here with me? Yes, there's a pile of dishes in the kitchen. Yes, there is things that need to be done. But what is most important, the most hospitable thing, the most caring thing that you can do is actually sit down and just be with me. Just be with me. We don't even have to talk, but if we do talk, let's listen to one another. And not just listen to each other, but hear what the other is saying. Because there's this great opportunity and possibility that the person that you're sitting with might also be an angel, a messenger of God. Yeah, that sister that you can barely speak to at family gatherings. She also may be an angel, a messenger of God. If we slow down, stop, listen, and hear, and maybe be transformed by that conversation, by that relationship that is birthed out of that moment of just being with one another, caring enough to just be with each other. Now, for the church, that's also very important. It's not just about, on Sunday morning when people come to the church showing hospitality to them. It also translates over to how we are the church outside of these walls, how we are the church in mission. Today we're commissioning missionaries to go to South Dakota, to Pine Ridge, to work with the people there. And many of the times when we go on mission trips, we like to do things. We love to do things. It makes us feel like we have a purpose. And I agree with that. Idle hands, there's a saying about that. Well, and also it makes us feel good. And we love to do works of charity, to show that we do care, to show that we love. And that's what we're actually going to be doing. We're going to be doing a lot, helping around at the reservation in Red Shirt, as well as around Pine Ridge. And we're going to be building a playground, which these kids don't have, and an opportunity to have some fun and joy. But there's also that other part of being a missionary, to be the church in mission with God. And that part is to learn how to just be with the people that God sent you to be with. To just be in the moment, to just be and listen. Listen to the stories. Listen to their lives. Listen to their experiences. Listen to what their fears are, what their hopes are, what they're angry about, what they're joyful about. Listening and hearing how God is at work in their lives. And hearing how God invites us to join them, to care for them, to walk alongside them, and not just do works of charity to them, but to work for justice with them. Remember, justice is identifying the problems that are going on and helping them change it from something very small and simple to something systematic. Changing the system, the environment, the context, so this injustice, this pain, this grief, whatever they're suffering, does not happen for generations yet to come. But we can only do justice if we actually be with them, listen, and hear the invitation that God has. If we go and just work and do things of charity, yeah, we might be able to listen a little bit, but sometimes, many times, my experience in talking with other missionaries in the Presbyterian Church USA, if we just do charity, jump in, jump out, lives are not changed that much. It's only when we are with, we slow down, listen, hear, build the relationship, that God does amazing things. So that's what we're going to be doing in South Dakota. We're actually going to be with the people. But it's not just about our groups on the summers going and do mission trips. It's also about what we're doing here, around this church, in this neighborhood, every day and every week. We all know the issues that are going on in our neighborhood. We all know what's going on at Whittier, our mission partner. We all know that our church is actually working with the Salvation Army and doing Feed the Kids, which, by the way, is Thursday, and they need help. But we're also expanding that, and Southminster alone is doing snacks in the park on Wednesdays, which, by the way, we need help this week. Those things that we are doing with the Salvation Army and the Snacks on Wednesday in Whittier, those are very easily acts of charity. What I'm inviting us to do is to show the radical hospitality and move beyond just charity and charitable works, and actually be with them, hear them, listen to them, and listen for how God is inviting us to do works of justice, of righteousness, of transformation. Transformation of their lives, whether it's painful and broken, as well as transformation for our own souls, our own being, our own church, for what God is doing and inviting this church to do. Listen. Take time out of your schedule. Breathe. And share in the listening and being with others this week. All praise, honor, and glory be to you, Lord. Amen.